Queenstown Lakes District Council, cash-strapped as they always are, have decided, well, in the wake of, I guess, the tourists returning to Queenstown, that they want to get a bit of money, and they are blaming, or they are suggesting, that if you want to sit outside in the often quite cool Queenstown air and have your drink or eat something, you should be charged a lot more money for your alfresco dining experience, which I have to say can be rather bracing in Queenstown. Joining us to talk about that is Blair Impey, who runs 2 establishments in the tourist hotspot, and he talks to us now. Blair, welcome to the show. So tell us the story, mate. The Queenstown Lakes District Council, I think they're in charge of your footpaths. They are going to charge you for people sitting outside. They already do, I imagine, but they're actually going to charge you a lot more. Have they told you why?
No, they've said that they haven't given a price increase since 2006, so it's about time they did. And then they've given us 2 or 3 months notice to go for one of our sites from $3,200 a year, which is what we've been paying for the last 5 years, to $51,000. And so, and then they basically just said, hey, the justification is that they got an independent valuer to value up commercial real estate in the area, and you're going to be charged 30% of the average of that. So they're basically saying it's $600 a square metre for that area. Yep.
Now, I've got to be honest with you, I walked down Queenstown's streets last week and I could have fired a shotgun and not hit too many people, I've got to say. This looks it must be your shoulder season at the moment, is it?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So, but there's not a lot of retail trade there. And it was school holidays too. I was quite surprised. Listen, there are people sitting outside. You've got quite wide walkways and sort of pedestrian type malls as well. What's the justification for charging anybody anyhow for standing outside or sitting outside?
Oh, I think there can be a reasonable amount that we can pay, which is, we've been fine with the $3,200. That's fine. If they want to make an increase, then it should be a lot more reasonable, more like 4 or 5%. Now, but why? Why should they get more? At the moment, the town is struggling with the traffic coming into town and parking, and so we're being held up by people coming into town because of that. Yet rates are having to go up. So I say to the council, hey, surely you'll give us something more if we're going to be paying more.
Okay.
And that seems to be a challenge at this stage.
The idea that restaurants and the hospitality sector in Queenstown paying more, was that clearly signalled in the long-term plan or the annual plan that the council put out?
I don't know. I mean, this is the first that we've heard about it. I mean, the key is that they didn't consult with us about any of these fees.
Yeah.
And so it's just spring it on. It's not budgeted for. Can I ask you, you're a councillor and been a mayor, how's an approach that I could make to council, about this? It seems like a judicial review seems like a possible idea, given the lack of consultation and just such an unreasonable increase.
Well,
and how that decision is made.
Yeah, no, I think the answer to that, Blair, is there's 2 things. Usually, it's been through. It's a policy decision of your elected councillors and your mayor. So, have you talked to your mayor at all?
I've spoken to the mayor, and he said it's best if I talk to the councillors that made the decision. So we've asked Hospitality New Zealand to arrange a meeting with those councillors so we can understand the decision. Because it just seems bonkers that they would, any reasonable person wouldn't say, hey, let's increase the rent by that much. So, but at the moment, we have already challenged the council employees about this, and they have said no, they're sticking with what they've said. And so I think, well, sorry, mate, we're going to have to go higher. And it seems worth taking them on with a judicial review, just because this is not only just affecting
can I say
my
that should be a last port of call, because all you're going to do is reward some prostitute lawyer for no necessary tangible gain. And a judicial review, can I tell you, and this is where people fall into this trap, a judicial review, Blair, only makes the council look at the decision again. It doesn't mean they'll come to a different conclusion.
Yeah, but so what's going to hold these people accountable for making a decision that lacks commerciality? I mean, these people
I guess the answer, I guess the answer to that question is you need to go to the council laws, and that's the whole council would have made this decision. It wouldn't have. It's a very unusual decision by a mayor, because it wasn't just a couple of councillors that made the decision. It would have been.
And I understand it was unanimous, but the key, which we understand, is were they aware of the increase? They could have been told about what the value is, but how can they be sitting there around there confidently and say,
that's right. And they might not have
this
received, I mean, obviously when the rubber hits the road, they usually go, oh, God, we decide that, because they didn't get enough information. And they can review it around the council.
That's what I'm hoping.
Yeah, and then they'll review it around the council table and say, oh, well, there you go. Listen, there is a perception, and while I've got you, that Queenstown is back to its best. In other words, it is back to pre-COVID levels in terms of numbers, hospitality, profitability, etc. Is that true?
Not profitability, no. I mean, look, this is a recession, and to come to Queenstown is a discretionary item. To then go out and enjoy hospitality is an extra discretionary item. So you may be hearing that the volume of people are coming to Queenstown because there's been more flights. However, it doesn't mean that they're here spending the money. But Queenstown is still absolutely beautiful, and the town does look beautiful with the beautified streets, and everything that's on offer is fantastic. So it's just about the economy recovering, and that can take some time. And I suppose we are seeing potentially some green shoots, but they're very, very small green shoots at this stage. Hoping
one of the things that strikes me about Queenstown, you're almost unique in New Zealand, but you would be at the cutting edge of it, is the cost of living in Queenstown. So actually buying a house or a home, a flat, a unit, or renting would be, on average, higher than anywhere else in New Zealand, A. But B, in terms of the hospitality industry, you're paying people, well, obviously, my daughter works in the hospitality industry when she's a student, and you get paid the minimum wage, which is fair enough. That's the way it works. It's always known. How can people, so you must have it would seem to me, a worker shortage, because I if I was earning the minimum wage, couldn't afford to live in Queenstown.